How's it going, guys? So when you first see this question, seems very nitpicky and low yield. I can promise you there are some high yield points to be made here. I'm not going to waste our fucking time with superfluous nonsense that won't show up on your exam. I'll tell you exactly what you need to know, okay? Just the high yield points. So before we get started, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Give the video a like. I really appreciate it. Find me on Instagram at Mehlman_medical, MEHLMAN_medical. The link is down below. Find me on Telegram. Recently created a Telegram group and channel. Links are down below. Now let's start the clip. 2-month-old boy with classic galactosemia. He's brought to the pediatrician for a 2-day history of irritability and poor feeding. Temperature 103 Fahrenheit. Blood pressure is low. Blood cultures show the presence of E. coli. Binding of which of the following molecular targets is the most likely explanation for these findings. So classic galactosemia, one of the galactose disorders, clearly increases the risk of E. coli sepsis. It's not something you need to know for USMLE or obsess over. Back when the step 1 was numerical and students were gunning for 270 plus, this was a factoid, people were like, oh my God, like classic lactosemia, E. coli sepsis. I mean, it's nonsense now. I'm just telling you how it relates, like why a kid would have E. coli sepsis in the presence of classic lactosemia. Febrile 103 Fahrenheit and blood pressure is low. I didn't give a specific numerical value for the blood pressure because pediatric values are lower than adults anyway. So we have sepsis here, okay? And question just wants to know the most likely molecular target. Let's just walk through it. So choice A, adenylyl cyclase, as well as choice E, guanylyl cyclase, both wrong answers. So what you need to know for USMLE is E-Tech, enterotoxigenic E. coli, heat label toxin, as well as cholera toxin, ADP, ribosylate adenylyl cyclase, increased CAMP within the small bowel, increases secretion of chloride into the small bowel lumen. Sodium follows chloride, water follows sodium, and you get secretory diarrhea, watery diarrhea. Guanylyl cyclase, this is going to be E, enterotoxigenic heat stable toxin, as well as Yersinia enterocolytica toxin. And the E-Tech will cause the watery diarrhea, Yersinia enterocolytica, bloody diarrhea, appendicitis-like pain, arthritis. Increased CGMP, it'll lead to decreased chloride reabsorption in the small bowel. Sodium stays with chloride, water stays with sodium. Then you get watery diarrhea. Okay, but as I said, Yersinia is bloody. The point is they're the wrong fucking answers. And now we've got CD28 as well as CD8086, aka B7172, also wrong answers. Now, I said I would cut to the chase. This is what you need to know. When you have an antigen being presented to a T cell, okay, whether it's a nucleated cell that has an antigen inside of it and it's presenting on an MHC1, or you've got a cell, macrophage, dendritic cell, B cell, where it's presenting an antigen on MHC2, when you have a cell interacting with a T cell, okay, you're going to have an initial MHC to T cell receptor with CD4 CD8 interaction. That's our primary interaction, okay? But you also have to have a co-stimulatory signal, which is going to be the nucleated cell or the antigen presenting cell has something weird called CD8086, aka B7172, and that's going to bind to CD28 on the T cell. Now, this is asked on the NBME exams for step 1. It's not ludicrously high yield, okay? It's just, but it can show up, yes. So they might just say, what's required for a co-stimulatory signal to occur? And the answer is just B7, okay, or CD28. Once again, not incredibly high yield, but I'm just letting you know. If you do the NBME exams, yes, you will see it. Elongation factor 2, wrong answer. So this is Pseudomonas toxin as well as diphtheria toxin. So elongation, this is necessary for translation, synthesis of protein from mRNA. So they might just give you gray pseudomembrane in the oropharynx in a kid. That's diphtheria, very buzzy. And they'll just say the toxin does which the following. The answer is inhibits translation or inhibits elongation factor 2. Nothing crazy or complicated. So now we're down to the 2 most important answers, MHC2 and T cell receptor or toll-like receptor. The correct answer here is going to be toll-like receptor 4. Okay, so TLR4, aka CD14 on macrophages. This is necessary, or this is the mechanism for endotoxic shock. So gram negatives, lipopolysaccharide, LPS, all right? The lipid A of LPS is going to bind to toll-like receptor 4, aka CD14 on macrophages. Macrophages release cytokines, cause sepsis. So TNF-alpha will cause increased vascular permeability, spacing between endothelial cells, low blood pressure, vasodilation. IL-1 will cause the fever. Okay, so that's ultra high yield in and of itself. They can say like which cytokine combination is responsible for the fever and low blood pressure, and you need to know fever, IL-1, TNF alpha, low blood pressure, and sepsis. Okay, but that's endotoxic shock. Gram negatives. Okay, lipid A of LPS binds to TLR4, CD4 type macrophages. However, you need to know that MHC2 and T cell receptor, this is the combination for super antigen, okay, such as toxic shock, TSST toxin, okay, caused by or secreted by Staph aureus, okay, it's an exotoxin, super antigen, will bridge MHC2 and T cell receptor, all right, as well as strep pyogenes, exotoxin A. It causes toxic shock like syndrome, will also bridge MHC2 and T cell receptor. Okay, so those are not endotoxic shock. If you get, any type of cotton packing, 16-year-olds in a car accident has nosebleeds, has cotton packing, or obviously tampons, and then they give you low blood pressure, the answer, MHC2 and T cell receptor. Okay, that's toxic shock syndrome, a TSST toxin, Staph aureus. If they show you a cellulitis or an erysipelas, although Staph aureus could be a cause, that's gram-positive cocci in clusters, they could tell you gram-positive cocci in chains, which is strep pyogenes, group A strep, and that would cause TSST, toxic shock-like syndrome, okay, exotoxin A, as I said, and also MHC2 and T cell receptor, okay? So you have some high-yield distinctions here. So the take-home point is gram-negative sepsis, TLR4, CD14, toxic shock syndrome or toxic shock-like syndrome, super antigen, MHC2 and T cell receptor. You know the deal. I'm going to continue making more content. If you like my stuff, subscribe my channel. And I appreciate your time. That's it.